The vast majority has no idea they're being manipulated. I see that going on right now in Los Angeles. You have these
Oh, yeah.
protesters who are being interviewed. The police just came and took this guy for no reason. That's what they're seeing because they don't realize what is actually happening behind the scenes. I'll use the 2008 Republican National Convention as an example. These groups had organized across the country with the goal of shutting down the convention by any means necessary. That's a pretty big deal because A, you're not only stopping others' right to peaceably assemble, but you're really shutting down our system of governance. If one of the things the organizers did is they broke everyone into red, yellow, and green teams. The green teams were the average liberal protester with good intentions, probably would not violate the law if they knew they were violating the law. They just wanted to have their voice heard. They didn't like the war in Iraq. They didn't like George Bush. They didn't like Republicans. They were there to protest, but they had been manipulated. In order to shut down the convention, they had to shut down the roads that went into the convention, the organizers of these protests, in order to pick their delegate, their candidate, right?
Yeah.
These Republican delegates had to take buses into the convention center. So the left was shutting down the roads. They needed people to chain themselves up with PVC on their hands and handcuffs across the roads so that the buses couldn't come through and the police couldn't remove them easily. It takes time to set yourself up. The people who were gonna get arrested and who were handcuffing their hands together across the road, they were considered the yellow team, right? The arrestables. But they needed cover. So they put people in the crowd of average protesters. We're going to call them the green team, right? They don't even realize they're a team. They don't realize they're being manipulated. And what we're going to do is have one over here say, let's go cross the road. Someone else say, yeah, let's cross the road. And we're going to get everyone into the road. And then as soon as they stop and block the road, the vast majority of people considered the green team don't realize they're a team or that they're being manipulated. They think everybody's just crossing or stopped in the road. They're just doing what everyone around them is doing. And so this yellow team needs cover to lock down. They manipulate the average liberal, the green team, to go into the road and give them cover. So when the police gave the lawful order to get out of the road, the green team, of course, would get out of the road because they're following the law and they don't realize they're being manipulated. So they would get out of the road, and that would give the yellow team time to lock down across the road. But if that did not give the yellow team time to lock down, then the red team would be dispatched. And the red team were the black bloc, the anarchists wearing masks, throwing Molotovs, and they would attack the police and they would attack the buses of delegates. That would distract the police. That would give the yellow team time to lock down. And as soon as the yellow team was locked down, then they would get the message, okay, we're done, blend in. So then the red team would take off their mask, get into the crowd of the green team, mix into the green team, the peaceful protesters. The police would go after the red team with deadly force, with stones. That green team thought the police were just unprovoked attacking a crowd of peaceful demonstrators, not realizing what they were a part of. The vast majority has no idea they're being manipulated. I see that going on right now in Los Angeles. You have these
Oh, yeah.
protesters who are being interviewed, and they're like, yeah, there were some people doing something bad, but we all weren't. And the police came into our crowd and took this guy out of the crowd. And he was, some guy out, and it's like, well, the guy who got taken out of the crowd got taken out of the crowd because minutes prior he had a black mask on and threw a Molotov cocktail and literally burned 3 federal agents, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 3 law enforcement
Right.
personnel. The police just came and took this guy for no reason. That's what they're seeing because they don't realize what is actually happening behind the scenes. This New York Times article, it mentioned that Molotov cocktails were used, but it was like in the 8th paragraph of a story. It wasn't the headline. Like these immigration activists, like anti-ICE activists, anti-law enforcement activists, like use Molotov cocktails. That should have been the headline. If it was a pro-life abortion protester
Yes.
who used
Exactly.
Molotov cocktails and burned 3 people, that would become the story, right? You get the problem.
It's just people enjoying watching cars burn,
Yeah,
is what they said on CNN.
trying to stay warm.